We're here because we have a vision of excellence at our public colleges and universities, a vision of national leadership in all of our academic work and research expenditures, a vision that extends from UMass Amherst to Cape Cod Community College, from Salem State to Worcester State University, from Mass Bay Community College to the Mass Maritime Academy. And that vision is coming into focus beautifully. We are witnessing an unprecedented level of unity across our three segments of higher education, with campuses working together to reach for the highest possible bar of achievement. We are a system on the move, and we have much to be proud of. Let's hear it.
But we are also here today because we know we have more work to do. Today's report shows where we are doing well and where we need to do better. We have an economic and a moral imperative to get this right. And if we are going to get this right, we can't allow ourselves to be complacent. We have to be willing to ask tough questions, just as this report does, and to accept honest answers. We have to look at the way things are today and ask ourselves whether this is really the way a 21st century public higher education system should look.
We have invited you all here today for one simple purpose: to focus public attention on the role that our public colleges and universities play in ensuring the well-being of this state and its citizens. We think it is time for a fresh look at this matter. We think that public higher education today is vastly more important to the state than it has been historically. And so we seek your collective support as leaders of this Commonwealth in a variety of realms in promoting the cause of excellence in our state-supported public academic institutions. The report we released today, Time to Lead, offers a comprehensive assessment of the achievements of public higher education in Massachusetts in comparison with public systems in other states. So the report tells a story of solid achievement, of a system that is in some areas delivering above-average results despite per-student funding that falls below the national average. The report is clear that we are committed to pursuing the goal of national leadership, and it summarizes a rich array of strategies and initiatives through which we are currently working to improve our results. I am proud of this work, and I think you will also be proud as you review the pages of this document.
It does show, I believe, for all segments in the state, that despite the funding levels in this state, we've been able to achieve at a pretty remarkable level. In most of the cases, as Richard just mentioned, we are at or close to the national average, and in some cases, slightly above the national average. But what it also shows is that we are not among the leaders in this country in most cases. And there's a huge difference between being the middle of the pack and leading the pack. And I know from my roughly year and a half here in Massachusetts, Massachusetts would like to be always leading the pack. The governor likes to say it's always easier to say number one than number 2, 3, 4, or 5. I do also want to point out, because I talk about funding a lot, that funding is not the only issue, but I do believe it is the primary issue.
This Commonwealth has had a strong history of leadership in education and has provided opportunity for many, and most likely all of us in this room. It's not enough. Our future is at stake. Our students are at stake. Our well-being and way of life are at stake unless we collectively invest in the principles of this project, understand our collective roles, play our part, and make the kind of contribution that we all need to make to advance education and ultimately advance the citizens of this Commonwealth.
We've seen in other states, particularly among community colleges, that a commitment to access has been questioned, particularly in terms of becoming more competitive, becoming more selective as a way of moving the needle. We cannot succumb to that temptation. We cannot succumb to the temptation of limiting our comprehensive mission, because our communities demand nothing less than addressing all the needs of our communities.
We've got to be able to make the case. And I think laying out this vision project and this baseline that's part of the work today is a critical ingredient, not only in accountability and measuring progress as we move forward, but in making the case for the kind of investment that we all hope the Commonwealth will have the capacity to make in the future. We're asking for public investment, and we've got to prove not only that the existing investment is well spent, but that the additional dollars will lead the kinds of results and success that the public is looking for.
The notion that we will be able to achieve what we need to achieve from people who are from our neighborhoods, who are from our communities, to lean on an infrastructure that is necessary for our incumbent workers in order to be able to grow, and for those who achieve in public secondary education to be able to stay here, unlike a substantial proportion of folks who come in private higher education, is critical and critical to the future of the state.
Just in manufacturing alone, which we often don't think of as something requiring higher education, we're going to have 100,000 job openings over the next 10 years. And many of those people are going to require community college associate's degrees, as well as training in our vocational schools. And many of them, as engineers and others, are going to need a good 4-year education. And that's in manufacturing. Then you think of healthcare, you think of financial services, you think of biotech, nanotech. Across the board, even in leisure and tourism, we're going to need leaders who are well trained in order to fill those jobs if we want to maintain our prosperity here in the Commonwealth.
This is critical because it's not us versus them, it's us. The third grader that I have from a diverse background in my public schools is your future freshman and your future nurse or a future teacher. And it's critical that we look at it that way, and it means so much to the gateway cities where we're our older, urban, historic communities that were the lifeblood of the Commonwealth, and we're struggling to find out what's next for us, for our economy. We know this report needs to work, and we need to have not a Band-Aid approach, but a comprehensive approach, K through 18, and I'm excited to be here.
What I want to see is a process that leads to vigorous support for more resources for public higher education so that we can end this lament, which is legitimate, that we have not properly supported public higher education in this state. But that will only change with the data, with the performance, and with the rallying of credible, independent civic, business, and community leadership that goes to the legislature, is willing to, and governors year after year, and says this system is too crucial to starve. It needs more resources.
We've seen the Vision Project as representing the kind of bold thinking and risk-taking that I think our citizens want to see in the public sector.
It's important that we move ahead. There's been a lot of talk about a lot of different issues this morning. It's been a fascinating program, but it's important that we're all in this room together and we're all working together to do this. I'm speaking today on behalf of the House of Representatives and Speaker DeLeo, and to let you know that we are partners in this process.
We hope that you'll stand with us and that you'll fight with us and that you'll work with us to pursue the goals that have been outlined that will lead us to national leadership in all aspects of our work here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Thank you all very much for coming today, sharing your thoughts and your presence with us, and let's all work as hard as we possibly can to move public education, public higher education in particular, forward in the year ahead.